Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Play Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. On the last episode we finished Parappa Palace, and on this episode it's time we headed towards Midoro Palace, or the Swamp Palace. So we've got to walk through a whole hell of a lot of swamp, but at least to give us some sort of road here and there, to kind of give us a breather. So that's kind of nice. One thing I don't like about the swamps is it's very sluggish. And the enemies are actually a lot more difficult than the enemies you'd faced in the northern part of the overworld. Because the swamp just makes it a whole hell of a lot more difficult rather. But at least you've got the down thrust at this point. I definitely would recommend getting the down thrust before heading to this palace. It just makes life a whole hell of a lot easier. And why make things more difficult on yourself, you know? Thankfully, we're running into the enemies on the roads, so. There's a red jar here if you need it, so that's pretty nice. Anyways, Midoro Palace is rather lengthy and it's kind of a maze, but there's a pretty direct route to do it. First, you want to go all the way down, and if you go right here, it may seem like it's going to be some sort of a dead end or to the boss enemy, but actually we can't get to the boss just yet. And that is because we need a special item to get to the boss. By the way, spitting out those little fireballs is a Ra, and some of the Ra's don't spit out fireballs and some do. Now, this is actually called a Guma. I don't know why I was calling it a Goya or whatever. Don't worry about it. The names are not that important. But they're not that difficult, really. Especially with their attack power at 8, most of the enemies here are going to be one-shot killed. Most of them, not all. And it's going to make life a lot easier for the first couple of palaces anyway. I was kind of wondering what would happen if your attack power ever got above 8 or 9, but I don't know of any Game Genie code that can allow for that, because this may be like a single bite or something like that. I mean, they tried to save room as much as possible, and I don't think... Well, as far as I know, I'm not aware that you can get your attack power higher than 8. But anyways, these enemies right here are called Anurus, or Anurus, and I think they were the Zelda 2 version of the rope. And here the down thrust is really useful. Now the item we're going to need out of this dungeon, well, you see all these big blocks here that are in our way that the Stalfos is kind of jumping up and down on? Well, it's not a Stalfos, it's called like a Paratamu, I think. Or maybe it's a Stalfos, because a Paratamu is something else. But anyway, over here we get a key, which helps, you know. I mean, we could use the fairy magic, but our magic is still kind of weak, so I don't want to waste the magic, if you know what I mean. There's no point in that. Now, over here, we've got another Stalfos. I think the Paratamu's encountered in the Island Palace and the Maze Palace, but not here that I know of. We've got another Ra here. Or maybe the thing that was spitting it out was a Mao, spitting out those fireballs. I've got a list here and it's either called a Mao or a Ra. And they look almost identical, just slightly different. I'm not going to increase my attack power, not my attack power, or magic power just yet, but it's nice that I can one-shot these, So that was about 12 shots, I think, for that bubble, if I counted correctly. But anyway, it's nice that we can one-shot most enemies, like the Iron Knuckle there. Here's a red jar here if you need it. Might as well. Might as well take it. Eleven hits. It was 10 or 11. You can correct me if you want, viewers. I'm okay with that. think some of the time is just wasted by getting rid of these bubbles, but, you know. This is why we need the key, but of course we don't really need the blue jar there. The blue jars are not very helpful, I think. It would have been nice if they were like half of your magic instead of just like a little bit of it. Oh well, we can't get the P bag just yet, the point bag. But we will soon enough. Here we have our one-shot killed red iron knuckle, which is nice. The more difficult iron knuckles aren't there yet, but here we get the handy glove, and the handy glove is available basically to get rid of those little blocks that we saw earlier. And I like how they actually let you walk past another area that shows you what that item can do, and it's automatically equipped, so you really don't have to do anything. Most of the, actually all of the weapons here are automatically equipped, but see here, that just gets rid of those blocks there. And you can actually trigger a glitch, which I'm not really going to show just yet. I may make a bonus video for it. But you can trigger a glitch with those little blocks there. You know what I'm talking about, viewers. You know. But it's kind of a pointless glitch because really it doesn't do a whole hell of a lot but screw up your game. And I'm not really sure why it happens, but it does. My guess is it's some sort of, it screws up with the addressing somehow. I think these are the Maus. M-A-U. You got Ra on the left and Mao on the right. Look at that. Haha. It's not too bad, this level. The thing about this level I think is the most challenging is just the maze part of it. And it is a lot more difficult than the first palace, Parappa Palace. Parappa Palace is kind of given to you on a silver platter. I mean, that's just, to me, way too easy. But I guess Zelda games have a habit of giving you the first dungeon, first level, first whatever. That's something really easy. I mean, Eagle Palace in the first Legend of Zelda was very easy. Although the first official kind of palace, I suppose, in Link to the Past wasn't that easy. I mean, there was a little bit of a challenge to it. No red jar there. And we're just gonna leave that red jar alone. We don't need it. This is why the down thrust is so useful against the tin suits. Actually, this is the Japanese version is Wasu, I think. I'm looking at this, but I hear it called Tin Suit too, so I'm just gonna use Tin Suit. It sounds better. I don't even know what the official names are supposed to be. I mean, there's Japanese names and there's English names, but I've already covered that. Here, with the down thrust, this P-bag is easy to get. And you actually have more time than you think on those platforms that dissolve out from underneath you. Iron Knuckles are so easy to deal with, if you know the pattern. And it kills me watching other people play this game that don't know that secret. I'm trying to teach them the secret, you know. And I'm like, just jump and shoot, or jump and fire, jump and sword, whatever you want to call the verb. You know. Anyway, up here we have a boss enemy. So I'm going to use the jump spell and two-shot this guy. This is why your attack power of 8 is really helpful, and with a down thrust, this boss becomes easy. The first two bosses of the down thrust, I mean, it's a walk in the park. It really is. And one of the bosses where there's a certain attack that's the opposite of down thrust, if you know what I mean. One of the bosses is very easy to defeat with that skill, and you'll see it eventually. Now here's something interesting. When we hit 9,000 experience points, this is what happens. We can either choose an attack for an extra life, or choose life will go up. And now we have 8,850 experience points. So this is why I wanted to hit 9,000, because you can go over and over and over again and easily increase your experience. And a lot of speedruns actually do something like this, where they get to the point where the crystal gives you 9,000 points and you could just do whatever you want to with it. And this is kind of an alternative to the secret where you use the second controller to kind of stop the game and reset it while the experience is racking up. And you can put the experience in some other person's save game or something like that, but you know, hey, this works. Now, if you actually selected attack power of 9,000, you'd actually get an extra life. And hopefully I should be able to show that off, but... Now we gotta trudge through the swamp. But at least we can take a shortcut here. Now, I could have taken that shortcut earlier, but I didn't. On hindsight, I could have, but hindsight's always 20/20. Now here we're gonna go straight to the Island Palace, but we're not gonna take care of the Island Palace in this level. This whole area of the graveyard is kind of a bitch, because, well, guess what? We've got all of these Moas over here. And, they can really hurt. But with the down thrust, they're not so bad. Now I want to go down here. I said I want to go down here, and head to the Island Palace. This is why the down thrust is so useful. Look at that. I would get the down thrust immediately. I mean, if you could get it as quickly as possible. It won't hurt. And they're giving you clues here that the down thrust would be very helpful. And actually the down thrust is required for the next palace, but we'll get to that later. They give you little clues about that in the little dungeon to the Island Palace. At any rate, we're going to wrap up this episode, and we're going to get to the Island Palace in the next episode. So thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Goodbye.